couldn't understand her.
Hi, it's James. Welcome back to the channel. Just a quick thread response. Not really a thread response, just more of a video response, really. John Heaton recently uploaded a video called Favourite Side 2 Opening Tracks, and I thought I would jump on this. I thought that John and I were going to have a few crossovers. In the end, I think he only chose one, which was on my list. I can't remember whether I've kept that one or if I've changed it or not. This is a good topic. Side 2, track 1, opening tracks on side 2, I think they are a really important part of an album experience. It's the part of the album where you've had to get up to change the record over and the album reboots itself, gets a shot in the arm. There are all sorts of great opening tracks. It was difficult to get to 10, but I picked out 10 favourites, so let's just see how we get on. So we're going to go up from 10 to 1, with 1 being my favourite, but don't take that too seriously. You know, the ranking. I think, you know, I could stand by number 1. Anyway, number 10, I'm going to go with Ballroom Dancing, the first track on side 2 of Paul's fantastic album Tug of War. Side 1 ends with his heartfelt tribute to John Lennon, Here Today, which is beautiful and very downbeat, obviously. Flip the record over and you get this wonderful pounding piano and an incredible arrangement from George Martin. Brilliant song, great lyrics as well, one of Paul's great lyrical epics, and I love the breakdown in the song as well, which goes down into this kind of funky kind of section and then builds back up again. The first 3 tracks on side 2 of this record are all fantastic. Ballroom Dancing, The Pound is Sinking, and Wanderlust, all 3 of them are brilliant, but Ballroom Dancing gets the album off to a great start. This next one, a track which has long been a favourite, off an album which I'm quite fond of showing. This is Kate Bush and her fantastic third album, Never Forever. And the opening track on side 2 of this record is the brilliant song The Wedding List, which is based on an old novel whose name now escapes me. I have done a video on this album, if you want to look back at that. In that I did some research and actually dug up what that was. But the song is basically a murder story, a revenge story set to this very quirky, quite amusing song. I think it was a song that was quite important for Kate in that it showed that she really did have a sense of humour. She does a great performance in it, fantastic musical arrangement, and it just gets side 2 off to a rollicking good start. There are some quite dark songs later in the record, but that one certainly is a cracker. Next one, couldn't resist this one. This is a track which I always thought could have actually opened the album. In fact, there are a fair few songs that I'm showing here. You think, you know, would this have been better starting side 1 rather than side 2? This maybe is one of them. The Game by Queen begins side 1. The opening track is the title track, The Game, which is a really, really nice ballad, but it's a stately song. You know, maybe it doesn't get the album off to a pumping start, but the first track of side 2 is Rocket Prime Jive, one of 2 fantastic Roger Taylor songs, and there was some disagreement in the studio when they were making it as to who was going to sing it, and they reached a compromise in the end where Freddie sings the opening stanzas before the music kicks in properly, and then Roger takes over. It's a great track. This is the first Queen album to contain synthesizers, and there's synths all over this track. It's just one of Roger Taylor's great kind of driving songs, great rousing chorus, quite an amusing lyric. Not for the first time, I think Roger's sending himself up a little bit. Gets side 2 off to an absolutely stonking start, and I think it's the best track on side 2. So this next one, I think this might have been on John's list, but maybe it didn't make his final cut, I can't remember, but ACDC, Power Age from 1978. Side 1 of this record closes with one of their absolute mighty Hell for Leather rockers, that being Riff Raff. You flip the record over and you get the fantastic Sin City, which starts with this really kind of brooding guitar riff, and then it goes into one of these really down and dirty, nasty AC/DC songs with a great lyric from Bon Scott, and just one of his finest lyrical moments, I think. Wonderful musicianship, and just a wonderful opening track, Sin City. I thought I would include at least one double album, because even though a double album obviously has got 4 sides, side 2 is still important. And we'll go with London Calling by The Clash, and the opening song on side 2 is Spanish Bombs, which is sung by Joe Strummer, and just a very, very clever song. Lyrically, it references all kinds of political shenanigans, and Joe was a really inventive lyricist. He was able to be quite novelistic. This song has just got a great hook, great musicianship, obviously, as usual. Gets the side off to a great start. Side 2 possibly is my favourite side on this record. You got Lost in the Supermarket as well, track 3, which is sung by Mick Jones, and that's always been a favourite as well. Guns of Brixton, Clamp Down. It's a very strong side, but it certainly opens very well with Spanish Bombs. The next two, I thought in the middle of the list I'd go for a couple of more low-key tracks rather than these kind of very upbeat ones. This is a song which blew my mind back in the day, and I first heard it on CD actually, so it wasn't until years later when I bought the vinyl copy that I realised it was actually the first song on side 2. The song Feel Flows, which is a Carl Wilson song, very psychedelic, very slow and introspective, with a great psychedelic instrumental section in the middle. I remember when I first heard this, it was during probably the late 90s, and I bought the album, I bought it on CD, brought it home from the shop, not really knowing what to expect. I think I bought it second hand. And when that track came on, I was sharing a house at the time with a guy, and he wasn't in, and he came home, and I just said to him, "You've got to hear this. I've just heard the greatest track in the universe." And we sat and listened to Feel Flows. Side 2 of this record ends with the song Surf's Up, so that's a pretty amazing start of side 2, and a pretty amazing end of side 2 as well. The stuff in the middle, maybe not so great on that album. The other low-key track I wanted to pick is a great favourite of mine. This album, King of America, which is Elvis Costello, although it's not credited to Costello, is it? I think it's the Costello Show. The first song on side 1 is a great favourite, which is Brilliant Mistake, which has a wonderful accordion part. But side 2 opens with this really beautiful song as well called American Without Tears, which is one of Elvis's most beautiful melodies. A great lyric, just off a wonderful album. This album just gets better and better all the time. Been listening to this a lot recently, and definitely a career high for him, and that track American Without Tears is just absolutely wonderful. Brilliant. So starting to step on the gas now, another double album actually. I didn't realise I'd picked 2 double albums, but we've got one here. So this is Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones, and the record Falling Out There. So side 2 of this record is the kind of swampy Americana side, but it gets off to a bit of a country rock start with the great song Sweet Virginia, which has long been a favourite of mine. It's got a great Charlie Watts drum groove to it. Years later I played in a band here in Lancaster, just on the pub circuit, and when I joined the band they asked me, are there any songs that you like that we could play, and I immediately nominated Sweet Virginia, and that got into our set list for a little while. It's just a great shit-kicking country rock song. I love Mick Jagger's performance on it. It's just got a great party kind of atmosphere. We all know how this record was recorded in the cellar of Keith Richards' mansion on the French Riviera, and with this song you really get a sense of the kind of party that they were having down there, and it's a great feel-good song, after which side 2 takes a bit of a dark atmospheric turn, but that song gets it off to a pumping start. Next one, an album where this song could have started side 1 had the producer in question not had a very firm idea about how he wanted the record to go. I can imagine, I'll show you what it is. This is XTC and Skylarking, and side 2 starts with Andy's fantastic song Earn Enough for Us, which comes blasting in with this amazing guitar riff, and it's a great song about a guy expressing his anxiety, essentially, that he might not have enough money to feed and home his wife and child. And it could have come on at the start of side 1, but Todd Rundgren had a very specific agenda for this album. He wanted it to be a certain thing, a record. I think it was meant to be a record about one day, wasn't it, or something like that, and they decided to go with Summer's Cauldron and Grass at the start of side 2, which is quite a low key, quiet, slow introduction. Works brilliantly, but in a parallel universe I guess the album could have started with Earn Enough for Us, and that would have been a very different kind of album opener, but I think it would have been an effective one. And this next one, we're going to go with a record that I recently got into my vinyl collection. I've had it on CD for many years. This is Deacon Blue and their album from 1987, Raintown, which is a great album. It's a little bit of its time now, it's just in terms of the production. But side 2 opens with the song Chocolate Girl, which is just one of the great kind of feel-good 80s rock songs, really. A very evocative lyric, wonderful musicianship, and side 2 of this record has got some fantastic stuff on it. You've got Dignity and The Very Thing. So the first 3 tracks on side 2 are all absolutely brilliant, but I think Chocolate Girl is probably the best song on the album. It was a hit single, I think, and it's always been a favourite. So there we go, Deacon Blue. And we'll finish with what I'm going to call my favourite ever side 2, track 1. And it's Squeeze from Frank, the album they put out in 1989, which sank without trace. Side 2 starts with the great song Love Circles, which is sung by Chris Difford, and it's a nesting song, really. It's a song about what happens when you first get romantically involved with somebody and you go through the dressing gown and slippers phase, where you're just kind of sat around the house all day, having a great time together, and that's the first circle. And then the next circle comes around, and various other things happen. It's a sort of song about love, really, in the different phases you go through. Sung by Chris Difford, which is a great point in its favour. Chris often would not take the lead vocal on Squeeze songs. On this particular album, he's got 2 songs. I think this is the really great one. Has a great, characteristically brilliant Glenn Tilbrook melody, but Chris takes the vocal on it, and it's just one of their great deep cuts. So there we go, Squeeze, Love Circles from the Frank album. So there we go, that's my 10. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.